Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In today's video, we are going to solve another psychology's past paper. This is paper 1 from May June 2021. The paper's component is 1-2 and it is for 1 hour 30 minutes. The first question of this paper says, from the study by Milgram Obedience, state how many participants took part in this study. So from the sample part of the study, we know that there were 40 participants in this study. So you just simply need to write the number. Now part B says state the highest voltage shock that was labeled on the shock generator. So again from the study we know that the highest voltage shock was for 450 volts. So you just simply need to state the number. Now part C says the participant teacher was given a sample shock. Describe this procedure. And since the question is for 3 marks, so you are going to get 1 mark per correct point made. So you can write any 3 points from the procedure of the sample shock. So let's say I am writing that this was always given before the teacher began their role. So basically when the participant was asked to begin their role, now you can write it was always 45 volts and this was done by pressing the third switch on the generator. So these are the 3 points I have written over here. Now question number 2 says, from the study by Bandura et al, outline what Bandura et al meant by imitative verbal aggression. So we need to focus on imitative verbal aggression. For this, from the study, from the background part of the study, we know that this is when the children or the participants copied or repeated or imitated the model. And for the second point, you can write this thing, the things that were said by the model had to be repeated by the children. Now part B says identify 2 examples that were recorded as imitative verbal aggression. So from this study we have multiple examples. Let's say I'm writing one of them was sock him and another was hit him. Part C says describe one result about aggressive gunplay in the aggressive experimental groups. So from this study, from the result part of this study, you have to write a full detailed result to get 2 marks. So let's say I'm writing that the results showed that males showed more aggression or more aggressive gunplay as compared to girls or females. So for this you can get 2 marks because you are writing a full detailed aim with comparison that the males showed more aggressive gunplay as compared to girls. If you are only writing that males showed more aggressive gunplay, or you are just writing that females showed less aggressive gunplay, then you are going to get a partial mark for it, because you need to compare that less and more than who. Now, question number 3 says, from the study by Baron Cohen et al., identify 3 features of the sample used for group 4. So from this study, the group 4 was recruited through a random sampling. So that can be my first feature, that was random sampling, and they were from the general population. And there were 14 participants in this group. You can write any other 3 features as well. Let's say you can write that they were not diagnosed with AS or HFA, their IQ matched with the group 1, their mean IQ was 116, and their age distribution was same as group 1, and their mean age was 28 years. You can write any out of these multiple features that were mentioned in the study. Now part B says, suggest one real-world application based on the results of this study. Now, since the question is for 2 marks, so you're going to get 1 mark for suggesting a real-world application, and the second mark is going to be for telling that how that particular application can be achieved in real life. So let's say you can write that the eyes test could be used as a diagnostic tool for AS or HFA people or patients. Now, how can this be achieved? Those who score low on the eyes test may have, or you can write may lack, theory of mind. So this is how you're going to get full marks for this answer. Now question number 4 says, describe two assumptions of the learning approach using examples other than the study by Saavedra and Silverman. So you do not need to refer to the study by Saavedra and Silverman, you need to refer to the other 2 studies, which were the study by Pepperberg and the study by Bandura. Now you can write that one of the assumptions was that we learn through conditioning. If you're writing for operant conditioning, then for operant conditioning, we get a reward for being good. So we are likely to be good again. Now from this study you can write that, for example, Alex was given a reward for correct answers. Now second assumption was that we observe and imitate behaviors of an aggressive role model and copy that behavior. Why is it so? Because the underlying assumption is that because social learning helps to explain the changes in our behavior. Now part B says explain how one finding from the study by Savitri and Silverman supports one of the assumptions of the learning approach that you have described in A. So you can write, you can support any assumption out of the two we have used above. So let's say we can write that the ratings of we first need to mention the results. So one of the result was that the ratings of distress declined over the sessions or over the session time and during these sessions the mother of the boy gave positive reinforcement to help shape his behavior. So over here I have written about the first assumption of the learning approach, about which was regarding the operant conditioning, that when we give someone a reward and we tell them we encourage their good behavior, they're more likely to reciprocate, they're more likely to reproduce that particular good behavior again and again. So that is what the mother of the child also did in the study by Savitri and Silverman. Now this question number 5 says from the study by Dement and Kleitman, sleep and dreams, from the dream duration estimate part of the study, state how Dement and Kleitman chose whether to wake a participant after 5 minutes or after 15 minutes of REM sleep. So we just need to state the method. So it was done randomly. So they randomly decided. Now part B says describe the dream duration estimates for the participant DN whose response did not follow the same pattern as others. So again from the study we know that what DN did was DN was equally likely to get the 15 minutes estimates right or wrong. The chances for DN to estimate his 15 minutes dreaming was equal. They could have been right or wrong. Their chances were very equal. But what happened was he got the estimation of 15 minutes correct 80%, or it was 50%, sorry, it was 50%. of the times. And he got 5 minutes correct 80% of the time. So these were his dream duration estimates for both of the times, 15 minutes into REM and then 5 minutes into REM. Now this question says outline one strength of this study. So you can write about any strength. For example, there were controls on some individual variables or participant variables to help form the cause and effect relationship. Now you also need to give an example to get the second mark. So for example, participants were not allowed to drink caffeine prior to the study. Now question number 6 is, from the study by Laney et al. False memories, describe the procedure for experiment 1 from when the participants returned for session 2 approximately 1 week after session 1 until they completed the food history inventory. So you need to start writing from when the participants returned from session 2. So what happened was, when they returned back for session number 2, at that time, firstly they were given the false feedback about session 1. They were told that their responses had been generated by a computer. The computer has basically generated the profile of their early childhood, the food profile of their early childhood. Now, one part, you can write that one part of the results, one part of the procedure was the same for all participants. And the rest was different for both the groups. You don't need to mention the name of the procedure or the stage. You just simply need to tell that one part was different for all, and one part was same for all and the rest was different for both of the groups. Now what happened was, a critical item about asparagus was given for the love group, and the control group had 3 filler questions. They all had to respond about sweets at a school item. They were also asked to Imagine a setting where this experience might have taken place. So these are the few points you can write for full marks in this answer. And now from question number 7. Now for question number 7, it says, from the study by Pepperberg, parrot learning, the model rival technique was used where one human acted as a trainer. Describe this technique. Again, the question is for 3 marks, so you're going to get 1 mark per correct point made. Now it says that, let's say we can write that the trainer, what happens in this technique is that the trainer presents objects to a second human or a learner they ask questions about the object shown and the model or rival is praised for the correct answer. You can also write that the model or the rival is rewarded for the correct answer. They show disapproval for incorrect answers by the model or the rival. And what happened is the second human, the learner, acts as a rival or model for Alex. Now part B says describe what the secondary trainer did during the test procedure. Now what happened was, again we know that in the model rival technique the trainer presents objects to the second human or the learner. So over here we can use the same model rival technique to describe how what the second trainer did during the test procedure. So the trainer would present Alex with an object these were varied but in a predetermined order. They were pre-planned. The order was pre-planned. The trainer asked a series of questions like what color, what's same, what's different, and such questions were asked, and then Alex got rewarded for giving the correct answer. Now, question number 8 says, research in the laboratory has shown that people are more likely to help someone of a different race than to themselves. Explain 2 ways the study by Pilyavinyol Service Samaritans differs from this research. So we need to refer to the results from Pilyavin's study, and one of the results was that one of the thing can be we do not necessarily need to stick to the results only. We can also refer to the procedure or the whole investigation, the psychology being investigated. So we can write that Pilyavin's study was not in a lab. Instead, it was a natural or field experiment. It was a field experiment. It was a field experiment. As the participants were tested in their natural setting. And from the results, we know that the different race helping was not seen or was not observed as much in Pilyavin's study. Why? Because as people were more likely to help same race victim especially when drunk. So you are going to get 2 marks for per explanation. Now part B says, explain one similarity and one difference. Explain one similarity and one difference between the study by Pilyavinyol Service Samaritans and the study by Milgram obedience. Pilyavin and Milgram. We need to explain one similarity and one difference. So one similarity can be that both the studies have some kind of ethical issues of deception, to be particular. In Milgram's study, participants were made to believe that they are giving real electric shocks to a stranger who could get hurt. And in Pilyavin's study, the participants were made to believe that the drunk or the ill victim was actually in need of help. Now for the difference, you can write that the difference in both the studies is that Milgram's study was a lab experiment with high controls used, whereas Polyavin's study was a field experiment where the participants were tested in their natural setting without any controls. Now question number 9 says evaluate the study by Schechter and Singer. 2 factors in emotion in terms of 2 strengths and 2 weaknesses, and at least one of your evaluation points must be about the use of quantitative data. So you can use quantitative data either as a strength or as a weakness. I'm going to write a few points over here. You guys need to write this answer in full paragraph form. So 4 short paragraphs would be made for this answer, 2 for strengths and 2 for weakness. So first, let's say I can write that one of the strengths for this study can be that it followed a standardized procedure. Now you need to give a few examples that how was the procedure standardized, that same instructions were given to the participants prior to giving them the injection. And high controls were used for all. And they all were checked for any health issues as well, so that they can make sure, the experimenter can make sure that all of the participants were safe and there was no harm in injecting them with epinephrine. So they were all checked for any health issues. And you can also write that how all of them were given the same all of them were told about the same aim of the study, that it is about a vision and a subproxine would be given to them, but instead epinephrine was given to them. So you can write such things, that this is how this procedure was standardized and what benefit it does to the study. How is it a strength? It increases the replicability of the study, which in turn increases the test retest reliability of the study. Now second paragraph about the strength can be about the quantitative data. I am using quantitative data as a strength. So quantitative data, what was done was structured observation was done. Behaviors for each condition, euphoria and anger condition, for each condition were operationalized So what it does, it makes it easier for the experimenter to analyze the objective data, and it also made it possible for the experimenter to measure the mode median or mean. Now, moving on to the weaknesses, I can write that one of the weakness was the use of independent measures design. What happens is, since you need to mention that what happens in an independent measures design, since the study used independent measures design, so different participants or different individuals were used for each condition, for euphoria and for anger, and then for misinformed, for different participants were used for each condition of the independent variable, for the misinformed one, informed one, and the ignorant condition as well. So what happens is, different individuals used for each condition. So comparisons cannot be made with accuracy because independent variable or you can write participant variable could disrupt the results, so the validity decreases. Now for the last weakness, you can write that the study was unethical because the participants were deceived. How were they deceived? First of all, they were not told about the true aim or the hormone being injected. And secondly, this stooge was introduced to them. This stooge was introduced to them as another participant. So what happened is, they might have gotten close with the stooge, thinking that the other person, the stooge, is also a participant just like them. And when they got to know that he was actually a stooge and not a participant, they could have been hurt. They could have gotten psychologically hurt. So you can write over here it as a psychological harm which goes against the ethical guidelines of a research. So the study is unethical over here. So this is it for this paper. I hope everything was clear to you guys.